Good afternoon or good evening. Today is Monday, October 28th, 2024. It is 5:31, and we are calling the Personnel Commission meeting to order. Moving on to roll call.
Okay, roll call for this evening. Commissioner Bronze is noticed as absent. Commissioner Cummins. Present. Commissioner Nita Eddie Mitchell. Present. Commissioner Marissa Hart.
Present. Moving on to report on posting the agenda.
The agenda was posted on Friday, October 25th, 2024 at 3:42 p.m.
Item number 2, communications by members of the public for items not on the agenda. I will go ahead and read this. Public comment by members of the public on items not on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Personnel Commission. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the commission on matters not on the agenda. Law does not prohibit commission action or extend discussion of any item not on the agenda except under special circumstances. If commission action is requested, the commission may place the matter on a future agenda.
Any public comment? None.
Okay, thank you. Item
Can
number
you squish in? Okay, around to the end.
Item number 3, approval of minutes.
The minutes for the meeting of August 26, 2024 are included within your packet. Happy to answer any questions or if there's any corrections that need to be made.
I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Passes 3-0.
Thank you. Item number 4, human resources directors.
The only thing I wanted to report to you on this evening is to let you know that the project on updating the human resources rules and regulations hasn't gone away. It's just being worked on at a little bit slower of a pace because we just had busy workload with everything. We did finish the legal review. We are going through an internal HR team review. Then it will be going out to some managers for review. And then once we are at a place of commencing a process with our labor groups, we'll be doing that. And then that will run concurrently up to a point with the Personnel Commission reviewing different sections. So I just wanted you to know that that project is ongoing. It just hasn't made its way back to you yet.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, moving on to item number 5, informational item, and moving to 5.1, recruitment and employment status.
So within your agenda packet, there is a 3-page recruitment and employment status report. The first page of the report is all the recruitment that we currently have in process right now. The second page of the report, the first half, is recruitments that we have in process where we have candidates at other stages other than just applying. Sometimes there's a hard closing date on our recruitment and we move on to other steps, and those are listed here. Then bottom of page 2 are hires, promotions that have been made since our last commission meeting, and that carries on to the top of page 3. And then the last section on page 3 is separations that occurred since our last meeting. And I'm happy to answer any questions on any item on this report.
So with police and fire, where are we in? I mean, do we have a lot of vacancies?
Fire department is overstaffed by 1 person right now with of our line personnel.
Yeah.
We're recruiting a fire division chief and a fire chief. But of the personnel work deployed out at the fire stations, we're actually overhired by 1. We sent 4 to the most recent academy. And we expect that there's going to be a retirement in the next year. So that's why we did that.
Yeah.
NPD, on the sworn side, we have, I think, a total of 3 vacancies. All other positions.
With the elections going on, they're just saying we're so short-staffed with all these people. Is that because the positions haven't been approved yet? Or?
Yes, the staffing, that's probably what you're hearing is new positions that we need.
Seems like we're doing okay.
With the budgeted positions that we have, we're doing okay keeping those filled.
Yeah.
But if we want to be able to, fully staff the fourth fire station and plan for our fifth fire
Sure.
station, then we need to move in this direction. If we want to expand services based on the size of our community and the kind of, different, crime issues we have in our community, if we really want to staff those the way we should, then we need to hire this many more police officers and this many more dispatchers, this many more CSOs, et cetera.
Mhm.
So that's the piece that's being discussed, is that our community is growing and we're having trouble keeping staffing up with the growth of our community and the demand. So if you look at calls for service in the fire department and calls for service in the police department, it has grown a lot over the last 5 years. And we haven't gotten the same, while we've added a position here or a position there, it's not the amount of staffing we need to really be able to serve the community that we have. That's probably what you're hearing.
And so I saw speaking of recruitment, I saw the letter come out saying that, everything's been settled with Glen Moma. They're gonna build the fourth station. What work is going to be done in terms of planning for recruitment for the additional positions for that station?
So,
Is it dependent on the measure passing and all of those as well?
so we're currently staffing the temporary station.
Right,
So those personnel will just move from the temporary station to the permanent station.
okay,
The new personnel that we'll hire will allow for better relief personnel to be able to staff when there's absences, and we don't have to shut down a station if we have absences. And it's planning for the next station that we need to have with the growth of our community.
and that would include leadership within the fire department
Yes.
as well?
Yeah.
Any other questions on the recruitment report? So 5.2, the annual personnel commission presentation to city council scheduled for November 18th, 2024, review draft.
Yeah, so I thought maybe what we would do is go through the other action items on tonight's agenda, since we have some other staff members here, and then come back to that. Okay, if that's okay.
That sounds great.
Okay,
Okay, so moving to new business, is that right?
right, unfinished business, there's none.
Okay. So new business, 7.1, job description and salary range for new classification of utilities operation manager.
So you have a staff report in your packet, that includes, a description of what we're proposing and a draft job description for the position of utilities operations manager. And our utilities director, Heath McMahon, is here if you have any technical questions. As you've met Heath before at prior commission meetings, we're working to build the staffing for this new department. So during the fiscal year 24-25 budget process, this new department was approved by the city council. We've been working toward filling several key positions. Some of the positions we've already filled are the utilities director, because Heath is sitting right here, management analyst, a senior civil engineer, an engineer, and an office assistant. And a couple positions that are currently out for recruitment that you approved at one of your more recent meetings was the utility business manager and an environmental engineer. And so we are continuing to work on the other positions that need to be filled, and one of those is this utility operations manager. This is a position that will be a direct report to the utilities director. And this is the manager that will manage and lead the team of field personnel that are maintaining the water and wastewater systems throughout the community. So the current team of water operations personnel that are currently part of the Public Works Operation Division will eventually move over to the Utilities Department in 2025. The Operations Services Supervisor for the water section, along with 12 water section maintenance workers. There's 2 seniors and 10 maintenance worker 1-2s that will work under the oversight of this utility operations manager. And then we're going to be bringing to you at a future meeting a new operations services supervisor job description that will be assigned to wastewater. And once this new job description is developed, we'll be filling that position. And then a team of wastewater maintenance personnel that are currently part of public works operation will also shift over to the utilities department. And that will allow us to have all the water and wastewater field personnel under the utilities umbrella. That's the ultimate goal. And these different positions that we brought to you are staffing both the administrative piece of utilities department, the engineering piece, and then this more focuses on the operational side. And so, given the position level and duties, this is a mid-management position that falls within the Gilroy Management Association. The representatives from the GMA reviewed and provided input into the job description. And, that's attached to the staff report. And we looked at both market data and internal equity for the salary range for this position. And we're recommending a range of 134,803 to 185,164. And that benefits will be included or added in addition to that when we do the recruitment. And this salary range aligns with other mid-managers in the organization, such as the planning manager, economic development manager, environmental programs manager, housing and community services manager, and our information technology manager. These are all mid-management job classifications that are on that particular pay band. And we think this range will attract qualified candidates to this new position. So at this time, we're asking the commission to approve the job description and salary range, and then we'll be commencing a recruitment for this particular position. So happy to answer any questions, or Keith is here to answer any technical questions. And you should also take public comment on the side.
Okay. Are there any public comment at this time? Okay,
I'm kind of in the not know. So who's been doing this in the meantime?
So we have a deputy director of public works, Matt Jones, who is currently the 3 utility operations supervisors report into Matt. But we're splitting the public works department and creating this utilities department, and public works is going to stay in place because the public works department, there was just too much on the plate. So by breaking out the utilities functions under Heath's leadership, the thought is that we'll have a team of staff that can focus on the water and wastewater utilities and the projects and the maintenance that we need to do there. So currently the water supervisor, it's very clear that the water team in its entirety will move over to the utilities. The one other section is combined streets, wastewater, and trees. And so we're going to have to split that group up because streets and trees will remain in public works, and just the wastewater piece is going to move over to utilities. So we're going to be adding a new supervisor for that function because the current supervisor will stay where he stay in the position that he has, and then we'll have this position in utilities that we'll recruit for. So in essence, this manager is designed to oversee the utilities operations and field personnel. And the deputy director of public works will still serve in that capacity, will oversee parks and landscape, will oversee our streets and curbs and gutters and storm drains, and will also oversee our tree maintenance program and the personnel that go with those programs. Those will remain in public works, and only the water and wastewater piece will move over. So council has already approved the budget for the position, which comes out of
a lot of money.
Comes out of the water and wastewater funds. And these are 2 fairly sizable groups of employees, field operation employees, and there's some high level certifications that this person has to have to be able to perform these functions and oversee these employees. So we need a solid manager that's in place to make sure that the operations are being managed. And add anything that you would like to add?
No, that's great. Well said, please.
I have a question. So I know that there's like a, kind of a band, right? That's an equivalent.
Mhm.
And so it looks like there's maybe 12 staff that this manager would supervise.
Well, they'll supervise the 2 supervisors,
Okay,
water.
but underneath,
And
right?
then people underneath, yeah.
So in terms of like comparison to the other mid-level managers, what's the kind of the staff spread? Is it comparable? I mean,
It really varies.
because I would think IT, there's probably a good amount,
There's
but some of the other ones, maybe not.
Yeah, and some of the other ones are 1-person operations where, they don't have a team of personnel. They have to directly perform all of the work themselves. So it really does vary. But it depends, we feel that the level of work and what the market requires to hire people in to do that work is, because there's a lot of consultants and contracts and large projects.
Mhm.
So the jobs get complexity in different kinds of ways. Planning has a team, IT has a team. Housing and Community Services Manager has one employee and then uses various consultants for different functions, as an example.
So the water team will be brought over with that 12 plus supervisor 13, but the sewer positions right now is 6, I believe. So they'll actually be over 19.
19. Oh, so that's even.
But see, they have they'll have two supervisors that will
Right.
supervise the day-to-day, whereas some of these other managers don't have supervisors in between. They're the manager and the supervisor.
I think just a comment from my end, going kind of in line with what Nita said, is it's a little bit hard. I know what you're talking about as you're talking about it, but it's hard conceptually to see it. And so it might be helpful to have like a before and after org chart to see the split and the shift. And I know that you guys are kind of working out who would go. So we don't necessarily need to see names of anybody, but just like
Right.
position quantities by classification would be helpful. Otherwise, I don't have a question.
Question?
So I'll make a motion to approve the job description and the associated salary for utilities operations manager.
In a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Passes on a 3-0 vote.
7.2, job description, salary range, and reclassification to reestablish classification of fire marshal.
Okay, so we are presenting a change to an existing filled position within the Community Development Department, Fire Prevention, Hazardous Materials Pretreatment Division. If you say that 10 times fast. Currently, we have the classification of Deputy Fire Marshal, Hazardous Materials Supervisor in the department that supervises the team within fire prevention, hazardous materials, and pretreatment. But prior to that, in 2020, we had the position of Fire Marshal, and this person was the manager of this division, and the supervisor position did not exist at that time. And the Fire Marshal position became vacant in 2020, and the staffing reductions that were necessitated by COVID resulted in this position being eliminated in part because it was vacant. And that's not an uncommon phenomenon when you're doing layoffs and reductions. You look at your vacant positions first because you're trying to not displace an existing filled position. Later on, a couple of years later, the Deputy Fire Marshal position was expanded to include the Hazardous Materials Supervisor role, overseeing our small team of hazardous materials inspectors. There's 3 of those. And the Community Development Director and the Fire Chief provided leadership oversight of the fire prevention and hazardous materials functions. However, over the last couple of years, the employee who's our Deputy Fire Marshal, it should say Hazardous Materials Supervisor, he began to really, assume the role of Fire Marshal. And he's been here a long time. He was comfortable with the work, and he, over time, just kind of took on the work that was necessary. Because we didn't have anybody dedicated in that particular role. And we don't see this work going away. And there's a need for the employee to continue performing this work. That even became more evident when our fire chief retired, and we haven't yet filled a permanent fire chief. This person, is getting the job done and taking charge of what needs to get done in that area. So we looked at the Fire Marshal job description that was in place in 2020, and given that a few years has passed since that time, we revamped and updated it to reflect current work systems, duties, and requirements. The current incumbent looked at the job description, and Sharon, the Community Development Director, who's here today, also worked on updating the job description, which is attached to the staff report. And it reflects these higher level duties that are performed at this mid-management level and continues to include the supervision and oversight of the hazardous materials and pretreatment functions within the division. So we think it's appropriate at this time to reclassify Jonathan Crick. He's our current Deputy Fire Marshal, hazmat supervisor, to the position of Fire Marshal. He meets all the requirements of the position. And then the supervisor position will be inactivated because that will not be needed with the Fire Marshal position overseeing this division. And this will also lower the need for the Fire Chief to be involved in the day-to-day fire prevention work because the Fire Marshal will be in place to handle that. But the fire chief will continue to be responsible for the final interpretation and application of the fire code, because that's the way it's written. And this position reports directly to Sharon Boy, our community development director, who's here today. So the mid-management salary range for the fire marshal classification will need to be reestablished. We went back and looked at the prior placement of this salary range on the prior salary tables that were in place, along with the internal equity with other mid-management positions within the community development department and citywide. And as a result of this review, we're recommending the range of 134.03 to 185.164. This is also assigned to planning manager, economic development manager, same as the range assigned for the prior position. They have similar roles and responsibilities, depending on the function that they're assigned, as I was describing in the prior report. The Gilroy Management Association, that this position would fall within that group. So they evaluated the salary range placement as well as the job description, and are supporting the job description, the salary range placement, as well as the reclassification of Jonathan to this position. And once we have the structure in place, then we'll move Jonathan to the appropriate place in the salary range consistent with our policy and practices. So I'm happy to answer any question, and Sharon Boy, our community development director, is here if you have any questions.
Was he not in the mid-management salary range before?
No, he's in our AFSCME supervisory group as a supervisor.
So about what's the difference in that? Do you know what that salary range was or is?
160-ish
Okay.
is where it
So
tops
it's
out.
not a whole lot.
It's not a whole lot. He's one of the higher compensated supervisors. I think he's in the highest band that the AFSCME group has.
That page right now,
169.
because of his,
He's been here a long time.
With all the growth, is there eventual thought or plan down the road to add a deputy again, given that essentially we're moving him up, but we're not really adding to that team,
Ask
right?
us after next Tuesday.
I know, I'm asking those, it seems to like all be the same theme, right? So
Yeah, okay. Right now, we don't have the resources to do that, but we may be in a different position if we have resources.
Okay, are there any public comment? No?
Realize we're growing. I just want to do it thoughtfully. I don't know.
We want to do it thoughtfully, and we also want to do right by our employees who are taking on extra work, and I want to make sure we're acknowledging that extra work that they're taking on and compensating them as appropriate. And this is one of those situations
This
that
has already been
involved.
approved too.
I'm sorry.
This one's already been approved.
The
as well.
council approved the position in the position control area of the city's budget, but now here we have to approve the job description and the salary. Yeah. We kind of ballpark it for purposes of the budget because we haven't done our whole analysis yet. We're just looking to make sure that the council has approved it in concept and willing to change the organizational structure. And once they do, then it comes back to this commission.
Okay.
For the details.
You want me to do it first this time?
I did the last one.
I move we accept the job description and salary range and reclassification for the fire marshal.
So all three of the recommended actions.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, which means the three recommendations pass on a 3-0. Thank you very much.
Item 7.3, update salary range for classification of city clerk.
Okay, so the classification of city clerk is currently vacant. We're covering this position and some of the important duties on with temporary personnel on a part-time basis. We did conduct a recruitment, but it didn't result in a qualified candidate. Many candidates didn't seem to understand the
Yeah.
full technical nature of this position and the responsibilities that it has for election coordination, managing public records of the city, public records requests, coordinating council meetings and actions of the council, and ordinances and resolutions, and coordinating all the fair political practices notifications, activities related to boards and commissions, coordinating the city council agenda packet process. There's a lot that goes on in this
Yeah,
job.
it's huge.
And people see the title city clerk and they think it's a clerical position somewhere in the city. And so unfortunately, we did not identify a person for this position. So we determined that if we did go back out for recruitment, that we would actually show a working title. Something like council services and records and election manager to help somebody looking at the posting understand the level and nature of the position. But we got some feedback that our salary range was low. So we did go out and looked at the different salary ranges for the position because we felt like that perhaps had an impact on the limited applicant pool that we received. And the salary data did support increasing the salary range for this position about 13.5%. We looked at 12 comparable agencies in making this determination, and after analyzing the data, the average top of salary range landed about 176, 177, as compared to Gilroy's top of 156. So the mid-management salary range that we have in place that tops out at 176,334 is recommended at this time. This is the same range that we've assigned to other mid-manager positions, the communication and engagement manager and our program administrator, as well as our finance manager and the position you approved at your last meeting of utilities business manager. They all fall under that range. These are similar level mid-management positions that have technical responsibilities, as well as coordinating and overseeing the work of others. And we did review the salary recommendation with the city administrator, and he supported moving forward with increasing the salary range before we commence the new recruitment process. So we're asking the commission to support changing the salary range to the range of 128,385 to 176,334. And we think this, coupled with our benefit package, will allow for a more competitive and successful recruitment process. So that is the action we're asking for this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any public comments at this time? Okay. Questions from the committee or the commission? I'm sorry.
It's a huge job. We need somebody good.
I know there's a lot to it. I've done it on an interim basis. There's a lot to it.
Doesn't want to come back, does she?
No,
I know
no.
she's getting stuff going.
And I've
down
gone
there.
out recruiting and talking to different people who I think, could do the job. And, people don't just say, when I grow up, I want to be a city clerk. That's not, it's usually people kind of grow into it or somehow by happenstance land into this job. But so we've got to be competitive on the salary in order to try to get someone who's maybe an assistant city clerk or a deputy city clerk in another agency who wants to come over and perform this function. And they have, some training and certifications related to the work of this position
complex.
because there's a lot to it.
With the increase that might attract. a lot
Yeah,
more
I'm hoping
people.
so. Yeah, I'm really hoping so.
All right, I move we approve the updated salary range for the classification of our city clerk, although you may rename it.
Well, we have to keep city clerk because there's things in our city charter that reference the terminology
clerk.
city clerk. So when I say working title, it would be city clerk and then in parentheses,
Okay, got it.
council services, elections and records manager, just to give it the oomph that I think it needs.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, that motion passes on a 3-0 vote. Okay, and now I think we can go back to 5.2.
Annual Personnel Commission presentation to City Council scheduled for November 18th, 2024, review draft.
So what I've got to pass out to you tonight is the presentation we did last year. This was the PowerPoint that we did last year for the commission, and I just want to see if there's any updates or changes that any of the commissioners would like to make to this. Keith, if you'd like to leave, you don't need to stay
Yeah.
on, Sharon. Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is our presentation to council. So I wanted to see if there were any slides that you wanted to change or anything you wanted to update with this presentation, that we need to give to council. Then we need to decide who's going to be the deliverer of the presentation. We have usually landed on the first December meeting, but the way the council schedule is working out, and because there's the potential that the council's could have changes. It was suggested that we make the November 18th meeting so that since the current council is the council that appointed you all, that this presentation will go to that point. Because it's potentially at the first council meeting in, December, the new council gets seated.
Ah.
Yeah, that's the timing, so, yes. So we usually just list the members of the commission on the first slide and what the terms are.
Who's done it? I have done it.
I've done it.
I'm done.
So
You've done it?
Catherine, your term is coming up on the commission. You see that?
I'm not paying attention. Sorry. Oh, I am. Yep, I'm terming out.
Yes. So you would need to reapply to continue to serve.
Okay.
Hopefully you will. Then the next slide is usually we kind of just review the role of the commission and when we meet. And then the next slide would be updated to 2024 accomplishments. And I would update the number of job descriptions, reclasses, salary range placements, et cetera, that you did over the course of this year. And then provide recruitment statistics. Again, updating those for 2024. And then that continues on to the next slide. And then taking any questions. Is there anything else that you feel that we should share?
It's pretty thorough.
Okay, well, so that's what I would update and provide to whoever will be presenting, and ideally, it's best if, we get the members of the commission to be there for moral support and for the council to see you.
Last year, I think Nita was there with me.
Yeah.
For moral support.
You presented last year.
I have
Usually
COVID.
It's the vice chair who presents.
So I was in isolation
No.
last year.
Right. No, you couldn't be there. We didn't expect you to be. Don't even worry about that.
Not to get anybody else sick. Who wants to present? I really want to present this year. Either if you want to present.
I don't mind. November, what date is it?
It's Monday, November 18th. And it's at the front end of the meeting, so the meeting's at 6 p.m.
Yeah,
And so it's
okay.
usually pretty quick after the front end of the meeting.
Okay.
I'll be there with you.
Okay.
And I'll let Robin know as well, and maybe she'll attend as well.
Okay.
But we're still in this dilemma of being short a person on this particular
Right.
commission. And so the recruitment is open right now for boards and commissions, for all of our different boards and commissions
I
that we
know,
have.
so many.
There's a lot. So we need to, well, Robin's only staying because we didn't find anyone else. So technically her spot needs to be filled and the other empty spot needs to be filled. And we don't want a third spot that we need to fill. So
Gotta
hopefully
be.
Commissioner Cummins will just submit her application straight away. I need to
usually
link on the
like-
website.
I think there's usually, I know that the Friday emails always talk about like the next meetings, but I think usually in November, they say, or December, if you want to apply, there's like an application period. That's usually what triggers.
Yeah, it's out right now.
Okay.
It's
So
out
I
right
will-
now and it's available on the city's website.
But am I gonna have to interview in front of the council again?
No.
They invite you to if you wish to, but if as an incumbent, you can also, submit your application and send an email to
Okay.
them.
Okay.
That's also,
That would be preferred.
that's
I don't
also,
have to do that again.
yeah.
I know Annie never did. She just.
Yeah,
got
and
medical
the
folder.
council, especially for this particular commission, I think that, the council understands the importance of having continuity.
Yeah.
And the history of the commission as well, so, and the training that you guys get, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will update this, Nita, and get you a draft to take a
Okay.
look at. And then if you're good with it, I'll put it in final form and then I'll have it all ready for you at the November 18th
Yeah,
meeting.
perfect.
Thank you. And moving on to future personnel commission business.
So I have a few things on the future list. One other position that the council approved us bringing back is the deputy community development director. That was a position that got eliminated during COVID as well. And just given the workload and the mandates that we get from the state in that department in particular, they're struggling to keep up. And so the council supported bringing this position back to help with that. So Sharon is working on updates to that job description. I actually hope to maybe have that at your next meeting. The council also supported a reclassification of one of our existing employees who's serving in the capacity of a housing and community development technician. This person has taken on additional roles and responsibilities, and we think that they should be reclassified to a coordinator level position at a higher salary. So Sharon is working on that job description right now as well. And then sticking with our utilities theme, the operation services supervisor position that will be assigned to wastewater. And then, so we're basically taking one supervisor position and splitting it up, but we're adding an extra supervisor because we just feel like we need the bandwidth in both areas at the supervisor level to keep everything moving forward and make sure we have proper people in place. So one position will just be assigned to wastewater and one will be assigned to oversee streets and trees. And so those two revised supervisor job descriptions should be back to you at your next meeting. And then the same thing with our senior maintenance worker. The senior maintenance worker is specific to what section they're assigned. So we need to also split that position, wastewater and then streets and trees. And so and then I think that's the last of the two key utilities positions that we need to work on, and then the recruiting of the position that you approved tonight. And then the recruiting of the new supervisor for wastewater. So once we recruit the manager and then the new supervisor for wastewater, we're going to have the supervision team in place to actually move the employees over to the new departments. So we've been taking baby steps to get ourselves in the position to be able to make that move. And we are. These are like the last things that we need to be able to do that.
A lot of work.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts and things going on and you know, it's important to do it right with the employees and make it a smooth process for them. And sometimes we need to have the supervisor and manager in place so people are comfortable knowing that, you know, getting moved over. Yeah, this is my supervisor, this is my manager. They've got it covered. Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping that 8.3 and 8.4 will be back to you on November 25th for your meeting. And then if 8.1 and 2 are ready, I'll bring those as well. I checked in with Sharon today and she is working on those things. She just hasn't passed them on to me yet.
I was gonna ask that's the week of Thanksgiving. Are we all gonna be here for that meeting?
Yeah, that's a good question. If we don't have a quorum, then we would have to schedule a special meeting if this work is ready. If it's not ready, then we'll defer it. But our December meeting, if I'm not
Think it
mistaken,
falls.
Like the 23rd.
yeah, it falls on Monday, the 23rd. So we kind of have that same dilemma that week. We're open on the 23rd. We don't close until the 24th, and then we're closed from Christmas Eve to New Year's, through New Year's, and we come back on the 2nd. So I will be here on the 23rd. You all are available, or 3 of you all. And same with November 25th.
I typically have plans the night of the 23rd.
Okay. If we have a November meeting, then probably we'll have
We'll have to have a
cleared my deck.
December one,
Then I
yeah.
will have cleared the deck if I have all those
I
items
don't
done.
have anything going, but that I'm gonna be playing Santa and doing a lot of stuff.
But what about on November 25th?
I'm okay there.
Okay.
I'm hosting Thanksgiving, so I'm here.
Okay, me too. Works for you?
I can make it work.
Okay. And then I'll check with Robin as well.
25th.
Yeah, Monday, the 25th. That's our normal regular meeting. Okay, I will try to get as much onto that agenda as possible
Yeah,
so we
so
can
we
take
can
as a break at
through
December.
December,
December
yeah.
23rd will be a break.
Okay, and is that it for today's meeting? Anything else? No? Okay, so it is 6:11 PM and I am calling the meeting to an end.
Thank you. And our recording.